Hello, I know it is really early or late, depending upon your point of view, because it is the midnight hour I am uploading this video because I don't think I'm going to be able to upload a video at all because, I was really busy with something going on this week, and so this is the only time I'll be able to do it, and I didn't want to miss it this week, so here is my Thursday video for the Oncers with the Crimson Angel 100. And on with the theme of unanswered questions, I have some unanswered questions slash fan theory slash fan fiction. Now, basically, it surrounds the character Maleficent, and I think that she pretty much is responsible for the whole thing of why fairies are not allowed to fall in love. Giving that fairies are... Giving that Maleficent is probably actually a dark fairy, like the original fairy tale, because in the Disney animated movie, she was actually more of an evil witch, and they didn't really emphasize her being a dark fairy. But if they're going with the original fairy tale route, I'm going with that assumption because of the way she dresses. And the two times we've seen her, it's like glamorous and purple and glitzy, and in comparison to like an evil witch that even when Gino turned bad, she wore all black and leather and all that stuff. So going by that, I'm assuming that they're going to go with the dark fairy route. That being said, I have this really nifty theory, and you could go ahead and say I'm crazy or not, but this is kind of what I think. I think she, of course, was a good fairy at first. She was an apprentice to the blue fairy, who was supposed to be like the paragon of all good, and her first charge was, my assumption, Prince Stefan, who is in fact Aurora's father. And I think that what happened was she grown to really love him. She also she just really became infatuated with him and everything, and to the point where it separated her from her work as a fairy. And I think it's supposed to be similar to the route that Theodora had in Oz the Great and Powerful. Without giving too much away with that, she built up this relationship in her mind that she thought she was going to be his queen, that she thought she was going to rule along his side, and then Prince Stefan's like, I love you and all, but I can't be with you. You're not human. You're a fairy. I have to be with a human. So then he marries Aurora's mom, whoever, princess, whoever. And of course, she doesn't take it well because she's a mythical creature. She's not human, so she doesn't translate emotions the same way, as far as we know. Because they've been very elusive with their version of mythology of fairies. I'll just say this, that there's a lot of different versions of mythology of fairies in general, and even the Disney version of fairies is different versions between the fairy godmother from Cinderella and the three from Sleeping Beauty, and even Tinkerbell universe. There are different versions, and then there's fairy tale different versions where there's like that are good, and the ones that are in the middle, and then the ones that are just mischievous to humankind. Now, in general, back to Maleficent. She couldn't handle it. She became a dark fairy. But I think that unlike Cora having to rip out her heart in order to become that dark, crossing that dark threshold, in order for Maleficent to cross that cross that dark threshold, she would have to give up her fairy wings. In the show it's dragonfly wings, which I think are so awesome, instead of butterfly wings, because it's so much more, badass. Like, she probably had to physically detach her fairy wings in exchange for her dragon wings, her wings that she erupts into the big fiery dragon, which I think is so awesome. And of course, I think that Aurora's mom, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I might have, because I'm getting kind of old and I'm forgetting what I'm talking about, that I think their version of Aurora's mom might look and feel like the version of Aurora from the Sleeping Beauty classic fairy tale in the Disney animated movie. Um, not that I didn't like Once Upon a Time's interpretation. At first, I wasn't crazy about it, but I actually come to really like her because of her personality, and she has a lot more spunk than the original version. But going back to Maleficent again, yeah, I think the Blue Fairy, once she saw that Maleficent couldn't handle um, the betrayal and not being able to fall in love and not being able to be Prince Stefan, she probably enacted that, you know what, maybe fairies should not have this life of being able to love people. So then, and of course, that would have been maybe 20-ish to 30-ish years prior to the whole Dreamy Nova love saga, because they didn't exclusively say that fairies are not allowed to fall in love with specifically dwarves. And dwarves, they didn't say, aren't specifically allowed to fall in love with fairies. It was a generalization for both classes. Both a dwarf and fairy is not allowed to fall in love in general. Not just with each other, but with each other it was a double whammy, because they weren't allowed to fall in love. But, you know, the whole episode was kooky, but I feel like there's a lot of unanswered stuff between the fairies and Maleficent, and um, oh, and I knew there was something else I was mentioning that I forgot to mention. I think that her and Prince Stefan may or may not have had a child together before he married, Aurora's mom. And the reason why she's cursing him and cursing his wife, because Aurora mentioned that she went after her mother first. So I think she went after his wife and after Aurora because she feels like the king should be hers. She should rule alongside the kingdom with him. And there is the weird, slightly random moment in episode 2, season 1, The Thing You Love Most, when Regina's sitting with Maleficent. She has this pony that's like a pet of hers, and she was very protective of it, to the point where she almost died for her quote-unquote pet. And I was thinking, I don't know, it just... Because, mind you, she turned Philip into a giant fiery ghost. So who's to say that, that... I think that pony was actually somebody. Whether it was King Stefan, or maybe her child that no one knows about. I think that pony was somebody. I don't think it was just a pony. I think it was someone in disguise, and I think that's everything I wanted to mention so far. Oh! I have fan art of Maleficent. I totally forgot about that. Because right now my mind is all over the place, so it's like, I'll quickly show you my Maleficent art. Right here. Here's Maleficent. I know, it's very rough, it's not as good as my other stuff, but, I was trying to, quickly look at it, and give you a close-up of the Maleficent. Oops, that's a close-up of her boobs. Sorry. I know the dragon staff is not exactly accurate, but the horns, the glittery horns, her big bouffant hair, and the sleeve thing. I know it's not colored or anything in the gown, but like I said, based on this design that they went, I still think that they're going with the fact that she's a dark fairy and not a witch, and her staff is probably her wand at one point. And the fact that, of course, that she burst into a dragon is like an example of her giving up her fairy wings for her dragon wings, Even though it's... Do I think that Once Upon a Time is going to do the storyline? I seriously doubt it, to be perfectly honest. I still really like the storyline. Doesn't mean I don't like the storyline. I really like the storyline, so I'm gonna kind of put this more in the fan fiction category than fan theory. Because I love this story, but I don't think it's actually gonna happen. So it's really more fan fiction. That's why I said fan theories slash fan fiction, because they've been really vague with Maleficent so far, and I have rambled way too much for this video. I just want it to be like a quick 5-minute video, and I know I don't have a segment for Once Upon a Style this week because there's been a lot going on that I really don't want to go into. But I will try and have one next week of Once Upon a Style. I will focus on a special character, and you know what? Tell me what you think about my Maleficent fan fiction slash theory, and tell me who you would like to see in the Once Upon a Style. And I'll probably talk about her actual costume in another video, because I really didn't have a chance to this one, but I'll probably go into it next week or in another video, because I really want to get into that, because that whole costume and the Disney version is a whole other discussion. So that's it for Thursday, and see you next week.